This is the flagship Toyota car in the United States. While Lexus exists as Toyota's luxury brand, there's still a need for a range top-end model, and this 2001 Avalon XLS is peak early 2000s attainable Toyota luxury. There is a very clear market for a true almost luxury car. The American car companies know this, and this is why full-size sedans have persisted for many years in the States. Not as swanky as the luxury brand above it, but still sits proudly on top of your common man's brand. The Toyota Avalon serves this purpose well, and this second generation model, XX20, is peak new millennium everyman luxury. With the introduction of the Lexus brand in 1989, Toyota's previous range topper, the Cressida, was sadly discontinued after 1992. While that car was rear-wheel drive and imported from Japan, the growth of the Camry to a proper midsize also meant that the Cressida was sort of redundant to the American market. Seeing this, Toyota set out to create a car that would cater to American tastes. Beginning in 1994, they gave us the Avalon. Built in the same plant and sharing a stretched version of the Camry's chassis, the first generation Avalon was a wonderfully packaged automobile. Despite being small for the full-size scale, being 3 inches shorter than its closest competitor in the Mazda 929 and 11 inches shorter than the Dodge Intrepid. It was the roomiest 6-passenger car from Japan when optioned out with the front bench seat. The Avalon sold well, and of course, the second generation grew and became even more comfortable. The second generation, chassis code XX20, was introduced in 1999 as a 2000 model. While the length and wheelbase didn't grow, the width and height did. This is a comfy car for sure. While the plastics and pleather aren't quite up to the period Lexus levels, the seats are like pillows you can get lost in. The dash wraps around quite elegantly and incorporates all your information quite well. In the center is a digital clock, flanked by various idiot lights. The center console is solid and features hidden cup holders and ashtray. Even the doors up front have hidden compartments. The stereo is a period JBL system, and the sun visors have a secondary visor that flips down for when you have the primary one swung to the side. But, unlike most cars, the overall experience doesn't just stop up front. Sitting in the back is more than nice. It's comfortable. Again, the seats are pillowy and comfy. At 6'3" and fat, I can easily stretch out in the back and not hit the front seats with my legs. As expected, there's an armrest that folds down into cup holders, but there's storage inside of it. Behind that, there's a lockable pass-through in the trunk for skis, because of course it is. Topping off the rear is something we take for granted in 2020, but a very big deal in a car in 2001. There's a factory 115-volt AC power inverter hidden in the back of the center console. There's only one plug, but this is significant because it's the first passenger car that I can find that had such an option. Moving on to the mechanicals, you only have one engine and transmission option for the second-gen Avalon. The 3-liter 1MZ FE V6 shared with the Lexus RX 300 and ES300 and the Toyota Camry, Highlander, and Sienna, hooked up to the Aisin A541E 4-speed automatic. This 3-liter features Toyota's VVTi, which stands for Variable Valve Timing with Intelligence, while Honda's VTEC, and I'm going to proceed to explain this terribly, actually changes between camshaft profiles. Toyota's system is simpler, as it simply changes the relationship between the timing chain and camshaft. To achieve this, it does this hydraulically with engine oil pressure. If I explain this too terribly or whatever, feel free to yell at me in the comments. Anyways, this is a smooth running V6. Putting out 210 horsepower and 222 foot-pounds of torque, this isn't exactly a racing engine. It's made to simply smoothly get you to and from operating speed and quietly whisks you to your destination. Everything about this car is quiet and comfortable. Despite one of the struts needing replacement and clunking, the overall ride soaks up the beat-up Asheville, North Carolina city streets. The steering is light yet direct. I didn't try to one-finger steer it because, quite simply, I'm terrible at doing this testing, but thinking back, I'm certain you could easily do that in this car. Again, comfort is the name of the game. The goal isn't to go so fancy with the abundance of luxury materials and electronic goodies like an Lexus, but dagnabbit, you're gonna be driving the Japanese equivalent of a Barcalounger. This particular Avalon has been the owner's daily drive for a few years now. It's not 100%, and he knows this. These cars are often under $5,000 on the used market, as this one was. The body has plenty of scuffs, the JBL tape deck has long since quit, and he knows he needs a strut and a motor mount in the near future. But at over 254,000 miles, the car runs great, and for city living, he couldn't ask for a more comfortable car. Again, in reference to how comfortable this car is to ride in, it's perfect for riding over the rough Asheville streets. After previously owning Ford Explorers, he's all in on Team Toyota now, and he said his next car for sure will be another Avalon, and his goal for his next one is to get a third generation. Personally, before this, I've never really given second thought to the Toyota Avalon. All those years ago, collecting shopping carts at Hannaford, I always see older people driving them. They just scream that they were simply a Japanese Buick. But, after experiencing a second generation Toyota Avalon, it's a far superior car compared to the Buick Century at the time. My parents had a hand-me-down 2000 Buick Century from my grandparents, and honestly, that was kind of a terrible car. It was by far the cheapest car in Buick's lineup at the time, and it paled in comparison to the larger and much superior Park Avenue. The Avalon does so well what the Century set out to do. It's comfortable, the materials are great for the time, has gobs of interior and cargo space, and it simply drives much better. In newer generations, the Avalon got a hybrid and all-wheel drive versions that really truly make it the pinnacle of Toyota's car lineup. And now, you can even get a TRD Avalon because, for some reason, Toyota felt the need we needed a sporty version. I have no idea why, but it exists, and that makes it good. But the 2001 Toyota Avalon is the perfect range topper for the 2001 Toyota car line. Again, this is the top of Toyota's car line at the time. I have to make that distinction because the Land Cruiser is truly Toyota's range topper, but you get the point. That's its own unique thing, and this is the top of Toyota's car line. Anyways, before I get too off topic, 2001 Toyota Avalon XLS. A very comfortable car you may think of as the Japanese Buick, but this car is just so much more and so far exceeds that description. Out of all of Toyota's American cars in 2001, this was the pinnacle. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you once again for watching another episode of Wookie Drives. This episode comes courtesy of Ben of Asheville, North Carolina. Thank you so much for letting me drive your old daily driver. Anyways, if you have a car or truck that you would like to have on the show and you happen to be in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, feel free to email the link on the screen. Moving on, be sure to like and follow the official Facebook page at facebook.com/wookiedrives for more updates and shenanigans. For even more shenanigans and rants, be sure to follow my Twitter and Instagram at WookieAutomoTV. Finally, be sure to give the video a like, share with all your friends, leave a comment with some feedback. Any feedback's good feedback. I'm always trying to improve. And hit that subscribe button for more Wookie Drives like these. Just thank you so much for watching, and once again, have a good night.
A History of Britain, brought to you in part by Toyota.
Will extra amenities in your life lead to greater happiness? Are 64 crayons in a box better than 8? Is there such a thing as too many cable channels? Avalon, the most luxurious, most refined sedan we've ever created.